guys were antsy after 8 months or 7 months to get out there and actually hit things full go. And so it was fun. It's going to continue to be a slow build over the next 3 or 4 days until Monday when we put the pads on. But there's a lot to be accomplished. We understand that. We got to make up for lost time. And I think our guys have had the right attitude.
Hey, Kliff, wondering with Marcus opting out, how you handicap the right tackle spot now. And with Kelvin, obviously he's got a lot of starting experience, but mostly on the left side. How do you see him transitioning if he's going to try to play right as well?
We feel very fortunate that we were able to sign Kelvin when we did, obviously. Coach Kugler worked with him in Pittsburgh, is very familiar with him, and vice versa, which helps. He's a very conscientious player, very smart, has picked things up quick. We feel great about, Justin Murray's development from last year and all those starts he made at right tackle. And then Josh Jones, we like the potential we see there. I mean, there's going to be some growing pains not having an off season, and we understand that, but we feel, pleasantly surprised or pleased, I guess I should say, with the depth we have, even having Marcus opting out.
Kliff, what's it like having a year like this in particular as a second-year head coach in the NFL? Like, what are some of the more specific challenges that you and the team could face there?
I just keep being very thankful that it wasn't the first year. I think that would have been really tough coming in, trying to figure things out year one without an off season. So we're still not, obviously where we want to be as a football team, as a coaching staff, as an organization. We have a long way to go. We understand that, but at least having some familiarity with the processes, with our staff, with our schemes being in place, it's helped kind of that long break that we had, for us to pick right back up and get things moving. But we still have a long way to go. So I understand that, we have lofty goals moving forward, and it's going to take a lot of hard work.
Next up, Richard Sines, Sierra Santos, Mike Jurecki.
Hey, Coach, good to see you. I just wanted to ask, what goes through your mind when you see what Kyler Murray has done in the offseason, from organizing a workout with offensive players to obviously spending time in the weight room and working out with the guys and coming into camp looking bigger, especially in the upper body?
I'm excited for him. I've said it a bunch of times, but last year was kind of survival mode for him, the way we thrust him in there, and he was the guy from day one and had to learn on the fly. And that's not easy. Not many young players have had to do that at his position, in the history of the league, and kind of live to, tell about it, if you will. And so year two, for him to just be focusing on football for the first time in his life, he knows what it's going to take that next level, that next step, as far as leadership, as far as work ethic, as far as, commitment to being the face of the franchise. And so it's been nice to see. It's what kind of we expected as an organization, and I expect it to continue.
Obviously, all the guys were excited to get back out there, but how would you gauge the energy level that you saw on the field today?
It was really good. Anytime it's day one and you're allowed to, go out in that State Farm Stadium and fly around on the grass with your teammates, you're gonna be fired up, and they were, and I think they understand what we want to be as a team, and it's going to take consistency and that type of approach each and every day.
Okay, I don't hear Mike Jurecki, so we'll move on to Josh Weinfuss, Colin Harmon, and Omar Ruiz, please.
Hey, Kliff, you guys still haven't had a positive test among the players. Why do you think that is, and why do you think the guys have bought into all the protocols and everything so much?
Good fortune, first and foremost. We understand we're going to have our issues with that, and that's just part of the climate that we're in right now as a world. And but Tom Reed, our personnel, medical personnel, have done a tremendous job of making our players feel comfortable with the protocols, of making sure everything's in place, easily accessible. And then our guys have done a nice job with what's there. And so I'm hoping that continues, knowing that we'll have some issues and some rough spots, but I like where it's heading.
Hey, Kliff, your first preseason game would have been on Saturday. I'm just curious if it's been tough, especially for some of the guys who've been in the league for a while and have done things a certain way, to kind of go so slow and temper it, and as you called it, such a slow ramp up to actually fully getting it going.
Yeah, most of those vets aren't missing that preseason too much. That's not something they look forward to, those games, I wouldn't say. But for the young guys who have, are trying to make the team, trying to showcase for 31 other teams, I think that's what's the toughest about not being able to play those games. So we're going to try to get as good a look as we can with those young guys, knowing that we got to get our ones and twos ready to play week one. That's going to be here before we know it.
Hey, Kliff, I've heard you and DeAndre say how important building that chemistry is for Hopkins and Murray to the overall team success. And obviously, you want them to be productive and put up big numbers, but it seems to have maybe even a deeper level than that. Can you explain maybe what you mean by how important it is for them to build that chemistry?
Anytime you have a young quarterback that you think is going to be a franchise guy, and then you can bring in a franchise type wide receiver, I mean, it's crucial that those guys get on the same page and build that bond and that chemistry where, they know where each other is going to be and what each other is thinking on each and every play. And that does take time, and not having an off season, that makes it tougher, but watching those two work and watching them kind of being open to new things and each other, I expect them to get on the page sooner than later. And, watching DeAndre, just his approach to the game, his work ethic, I mean, how good he wants to be, it's easy to see why he's at where he's at. And we just got to keep building with him.
Okay, we'll try Mike Jurecki, Cam Cox, Pedro Gomez.
Kliff, being in year number 2, you saw the energy today, but just being in the same system, stability, how far can that go just from last year at this point?
We're hoping it'll be huge. I think having, all 3 coordinators back, having a lot of guys that were here last year back, understanding our systems where it's not new terminology, it's not new way we practice things, that we're hoping will carry over, particularly in a shortened off season.
Hey, Kliff, good morning. Just curious, coaches always have to remind their players about something. How much do you have to remind guys about the protocols and wearing a mask? And then kind of a non-football question, the Coyotes begin their playoff series today. The Suns have been, trying to make the playoffs too as well. How much do you watch other teams during this time?
Yeah, right now a lot. There's not a lot else on TV. I think I've worn out Netflix, and so wanted to wish and congratulate Monty Williams and then wish Rick Tocchet good luck. Those guys have got it rolling, and they've got good mojo going for the city and the state, and we're hoping to follow in their footsteps. But it's been fun to see the NBA carry on, MLB carry on, MLS, and we're hoping we can kind of do the same and provide that type of entertainment for our country.
Kliff, how much do you allow yourself to think that if
part about protocols, I think that Cam started.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then the protocols, honestly, these guys are professionals. They're grown men. If you tell them to do something once, they got it down. The masks are just part of what we do every day now. We'll remind them to hit their COVID exam around lunch every day or whatever time they're scheduled for. But these guys have handled their business so far.
Kliff, how much do you allow yourself to think about if Kyler hadn't had that last year at Oklahoma and won the Heisman, like if COVID had happened then, that right now he would probably be playing outfield for the Oakland A's and you wouldn't have him?
Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday, actually. That was a real life scenario because he wouldn't have waited around for another football season. I can tell you that much. So yeah, it's good fortune. I saw where Joe Burrows tweeted something like, had he not had a senior year, he would have, been looking for a job right now. And so everything happens for a reason. And I definitely feel blessed that he was able to play that senior year and we were able to get him.
Next 3, Bob McManaman, Darren Urban, Catherine Fitzgerald.
Kliff, I know your eyes have to be all over the place during training camp on positions, but if you could give us three areas, 3 guys, 3 things of anything where your eyeballs are going to be the next couple of days, what would they target?
I'll try to keep a good view on everything. But I think Rob Alford is a guy who's worked really hard this offseason coming back from that injury. We were so excited about adding him last year. Has been a very productive, tough, competitive player in this league. And with what VJ wants to run schematically, I want to see how he's moving around and just we're pulling for him because he did put in so much work throughout the offseason. I think then, you look at the linebacker position and what we brought in and Campbell and Simmons and Evan Weaver that we drafted was uber productive there at Cal. That's a group who looks completely different this year. And then D-line, obviously with Jordan Phillips, you got Corey Peters. We draft the young guys like Ian Richard. And so some groups that we feel like talent-wise, we've made some solid upgrades there. And now we got to go out in the field and show it.
All defense. Wow.
Always.
Kliff, I know you said already that, you feel fortunate that you're in your second year, so that helps the process a little bit given everything else that's going on. But on a personal level, do you feel like there's going to be a point, or are you there now where you've gotten comfortable enough with everything that it feels kind of normal? Or do you feel like there's going to kind of be this underlying unease all season doing something a little bit different than normal?
I think we all need to keep that feeling of uneasiness. I think it keeps us prepared and, taking the proper precautions and never really letting up because it's going to be a constant battle to stay, COVID free as an organization, really. And so I expect there always to be kind of that underlying thought, hey, fellas, even though we've done well this far, we've got to stay on top of it. And that's, everybody in this country and this world right now.
Cliff, kind of related to that, obviously back in March, we saw all of these sports leagues shut down. Arizona and Texas have been pretty hard hit. Was there a particular moment when this felt really real to you as far as coronavirus?
Just the entire thing. I think for me, I'm such a creature of habit as most coaches are. And you have this regimented structure that you're accustomed to. And then all of a sudden it's just gone. And you don't see a horizon. You don't see dates, when things are starting back up, when you're supposed to be back in the office. And I think that's when it hit me. And we were fortunate, like I've said all along, as part of the NFL to remain employed and to at least have some hope in that regard. So we feel very blessed that we've been able to push through and push forward and continue to try and get this thing going. But yeah, just feeling lost there early on, not knowing exactly what was going to happen and not having a set schedule of when we could get this thing rolling was unique, and I'd never experienced it before.
Okay, we'll wrap up with the final four. Josh Weinfuss, Howard Balzer, Colin Harmon, David Brandt.
Hey, Kliff. Kyler's developed a reputation for being humble. Why do you think he doesn't have that superstar attitude with other people? And then Christian mentioned that you guys set up the locker room where you have kind of staggered positions. What went into that decision? Why?
Yeah, with Kyler, I mean, he knows who he is and what he's accomplished and what he has the ability to accomplish. And he keeps that to himself, and that's just who he is. He's not a very outward spoken guy who's going to put a lot out there. But he is very, very confident, and he's very, very competitive, but he's just the way he rolls. And we stagger those positions just to make sure if there was some sort of outbreak that occurred, you don't just wipe out an entire position group. We tried to spread guys out as best we could to make sure that no position group could be compromised entirely.
You mentioned, Kliff, the staff doing a great job keeping the players comfortable. How about you and the coaching staff being comfortable also with the protocols and the testing and all that, and maybe even especially some of the older coaches on the staff?
Yeah, I'm sorry you cut out at the end.
I'm sorry. Oh, at the end, and all the coaches on the staff and being comfortable with everything, and even some of the older coaches on the staff, especially.
Yeah, I think it just is a testament to, like I said, Tom Reed and our medical personnel, just how comfortable they've made us all with the protocols day in, day out, how safe we are, how to do things. It's just been an overall organization that stepped up and given us the right way to do things each and every day, and it's paid off thus far.
Hey, Kliff, I'm just curious, kind of your reaction to the college football news yesterday, and if that forced you to kind of take a step back, or if that changed some of the conversations amongst the guys yesterday or today.
Yeah, we've been so caught up in trying to do it right at this level and focused on what we need to do to make this happen that I haven't even followed it closely enough to make an informed kind of comment on it. But just like I said, very proud of how our guys have handled the professionalism I've seen and us trying to make it work for us.
Hey, Kliff, I was kind of talking about the college thing a little bit. I'm not asking your opinion on whether you think colleges should necessarily play or not, but as one of the few guys that's been a head coach at both levels, would it be harder to do this in a college environment, or what would be the specific challenges that you think might be different with having a college team trying to get through COVID as opposed to an NFL team?
There's definitely differences. Like I said, we've had our hands full trying to get it lined up here. And there's only 32 teams and there's 127, I think, or more at that level that are trying to pull it off. And so I think just the sheer numbers definitely makes it a challenge for those guys down there.
Coach, thank you.
Thank y'all.
We will be back momentarily to wrap it up with Richard Lawrence. So just stay on the line, please. Thank you.